How's it going, YouTube? Dr. C3 here, and we are officially back with the CPL Season 2. Not 1 anymore. It is now 2. Team draft recap, I guess. Essentially, if you didn't already check, there was a draft last week on the channel. You should definitely go check it out. It's uploaded here on YouTube. I'll link it down in the description below. And it was a doozy. I mean, we have 12 teams now. All of them are great coaches. All of them know how to draft, so you should definitely check it out if you're new to draft league format and want to figure out what should go round 1, round 2, etc. It was definitely interesting, to say the least. And I think what makes this draft so much, I guess, more intense is that instead of drafting by tiers like most draft leagues do, we draft by points. Now, there are tiers, and I'm not really going to get into that. Just note that like all the coaches did follow the rules and everything. And I'm going to go into points a little more in depth than I did the actual draft video, just because they play into a huge factor as what I can pick up during each round. So essentially, there are 125 points a team can, or a coach can spend on a team, excuse me, and that's definitely going to come into a factor as we did get some big powerhouses, as you can see on the screen as of right now. Let's just jump right into it. So, I was fortunate enough to get first pick overall this season, and I decided to go with Landorus. Now, for those of you wondering, Landorus is sheer force. It's not, restricted just to CM force, which is beautiful because sheer force, life orb, Landorus puts in so much work. We had it banned last season, and over the course of the break, we sat down as a group and said, hey, what do you think we should unban? And we ended up unbanning Mega Ball Wow and Landorus. We thought that, they deserve a chance again in draft league format. So it'll be interesting to see how they really work out, as both of them, spoilers, did get drafted, as you can tell. So the one downside to drafting Landorus, though, was it costs a lot of points. And I say that as sort of like a, oh darn, it costs as much as what normal tier 1s are in other leagues. I get that, but 19 points on a Pokemon is a little bit hefty, so I gotta be careful moving forward. Now, talking about Landorus itself, it can run so many sets. It can be, I know it has 4 times weakness to ice, and it has a 2 times weakness to water, but aside from that, those are its only 2 weaknesses. So I gotta make sure on my team to capitalize on that a little bit. It can just run so many different sets. It can dual dance with Swords Dance and Rock Polish. It can run Scarf. It can run Band. It can run Life Orb. It can run a Z Crystal. If you draft a Z Crystal in this league, that benefits it. And spoilers, I did, so we'll get to that a little bit later when the draft pick comes. And it's just so good. It can defog now, thanks to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon move tutors. And to top it all off, it can roost. So it could be sort of bulky. This thing's so versatile. I'm excited. I can't wait to use it. Most of the time, I have to say I'm probably going to be bringing it Life Orb. For the coaches out there watching, giving you a heads up here. It's just so good with the Sheer Force Life Orb. And going over its stats, it does have a speed stat of 101, so it's going to outpace a lot of those base 100s, which is very crucial. And it has a base 125 and 115 attack and special attack, respectively. So what that means is it can hit from both the physical side with things like Earthquake and Rock Slide, and it can hit on the special side with things like Sludge Wave, Earth Power, Psychic. I think it even gets like, it gets Extra Sentry, but I'm not really going to use that. Oh man, it gets Knock Off. It's U-Turn for pivoting momentum, and Stealth Rocks, not to mention Stealth Rocks. I don't know how I forgot that earlier. Just a great Pokemon. I think I need to progress it forward, or else we're just going to keep talking about Landorus forever. My next pick, I had to wait 24 picks, and originally Tapu Fini was not a part of my draft plan whatsoever, but then I saw it here sitting after 25 picks. I told myself, it's a Tapu Fini, man, I gotta pick it up. It resists water, it resists ice, it's a great bulky Pokemon. It doesn't have reliable recovery, which kind of like pigeonholes it a little bit to what it can do. But at the end of the day, it has 115 and 130 defense and special defense stats. I mean, it's just a monster. It's a bulkier Primarina. Psychic Fairy. It gets me it rounds out, or it doesn't round out, but it starts to, bring my Water, Fire, Grass Core, as well as a Dragon Berry Steel Core. So I'm already heading in the right direction there, and I told myself, you know, even if I don't round out those cores, it's just a great Pokemon, man. It can taunt. With a base 85 speed stat, you know, a fast taunt can stop most walls from trying to break it down a little bit. Things like Registeel wants to come in. I can't really Toxic Me due to the Misty Surge. It can't Thunder Wave. It can't do any of that stuff. I taunt it. Can't even set up Stealth Rocks. All it can do is really Seismic Toss at that point. And I have things like Hydro Pump and Moonblast. And I know it doesn't really hit a Registeel, but you get the idea. It gets Nature's Madness to break down other walls. It does get Knockoff. I doubt I'll ever use it, but it's just pretty cool tech in case you want to bring it. Ice Beam coverage. It gets Shadow Ball. I already talked about Taunt. It's just a great Pokemon, man. And not to mention, it is another defogger, so it alleviates the defogging pressure I have from Landers. So that's 2 removers. And I'm feeling pretty good. So maybe I'm going to draft some things that are a little bit Stealth Rock weak. Who knows? It's just one of those Pokemon that, like, I think it really put in the work on our team. And also, just to mention too, it was 17 points, as you can see on the screen to the, to the right. I think spending the points early on that was worth it, because I don't think it would have lasted till round 3. I'm just being completely honest. At the rate teams are drafting, they're going for power, they're going for heavy power. Some people still needed to pick up fairy types, and I was a little bit skeptic, and I told myself, I'm going to grab this thing. And since I'm on the wheel, I had the next pick, so I figured, what better way to pair a Tapu Fini than to grab the second best wall in the game, which is Chansey. Oh man, Chansey is one of those Pokemon. I thought at 13 points it was sort of a bit of a steal, just because of all the things that it can do as a Chansey. You know, it's going to have that Eviolite, it's just going to be bulky on the special side. As long as I don't get knocked off, I can take physical hits too. And Tapu Fini wants to take those knockoffs, fine. You know, resist, not going to worry about that at all. Fighting types, not going to resist that. I'm not really going to worry about that. I have Landorus and Tapu Fini, so fighting type, not really going to do much against me, you know? I'm feeling pretty good at this point in the draft. Natural Cure ability. Even with the Misty Surge, I can't be statused. You know, status ailments can't be inflicted upon me. But, let's say that Misty Surge runs out, or I didn't bring Tapu Fini one week. I have Natural Cure Chansey to absorb some things, and I think it's just going to be a really great asset to my team. Being able to wish past 2 Tapu Fini as well, that's really one of the main reasons why I got it, was the ability to wish and to set up Stealth Rocks, alleviate pressure from Landorus there. So I'm just really trying to fill those holes to ensure that Landorus is the best Pokemon on my team, and I think that Tapu Fini and Chansey really complement that well. Now, just to do some quick mental math here, I already have 49 of my points, so 50 points out of 125 already taken in 3 picks, so I gotta be careful moving forward. But even with that said, I'm still just like moving down the line as to what my tier requirements are, so I grabbed 2 tier 1s already. Chansey's my tier 2, so I figured, alright, I'm gonna get a tier 3, and I need something to complement Landorus, right? Tapu Fini and Chansey can't really break down Pokemon, they can just take hits well, so I need something that's just gonna like come in and break, and that's why I decided to go with my next pick, Kyurem. Now, I saw Kyurem on the draft board, and I told myself, it's a tier 3, it's 11 points, it's a dragon type, and to top it all off, it has a base 670 stat total. For 11 points? Are you kidding me? That's almost higher than every Mega in the game. That's higher than most legendaries in the game. It's just such a beast, man. It can hit 130 attack and special attack on both sides of the field. Are you kidding me? You can't even teach that to most Pokemon. That's crazy. Not to mention it has a base 95 speed stat, so I'm starting to really like diversify my speed tiers. With Chansey I got 50, Tapu Fini I got 85, now I have 95, and with Landorus I have 101, so you really gotta ensure that like most Pokemon are brought are like jolly or timid to try and like match my speed tiers. I feel very proud of that, and aside from wall breaking too, it can run a couple of niche sets. It has that pressure ability, so you can run like sub Roost Stall with things like Earth Power and Ice Beam just to really just check some things. But in terms of the special side, it gets so many hard-hitting moves. Draco Meteor, it gets Ice Beam, Flash Cannon, Earth Power, Psychic, and Shadow Ball. So talk about some coverage there. You can really you could really catch a lot of coaches off guard with Kieran, and I'm just excited to use it. I wouldn't even be surprised too if it holds up with the rest of my kill leaders here. I know people sleep on it, and that's why it's only 11 points, but I'm here in this league, and I'm going to prove to you that Kieran is easily worth 12, even 13 points in my opinion. It's just such a good Pokemon. Next up, I did, in fact, I was on the wheel again. So my next pick, I told myself, I have a Chansey, and it's susceptible to getting, you know, swept on, so I gotta make sure that I check that somehow. And Ditto, one of those Pokemon I drafted, and it's, Ditto is Ditto. It does one thing: you invest in speed, or I'm sorry, not speed, you invest in HP, and you bring it Scarfed, and it ensures that you stop any sweeper in its tracks. It goes for Swords Dance, you switch in, now you're faster, and you got the +2 boost. One of those Pokemon that, in my opinion, really complements Chansey well, and even if I don't bring it often, as you can tell, like, the top 4 Pokemon, I'm probably going to bring those mostly every week, just based on what they do. They're so prevalent and heavy in their own roles, with Chansey having the highest base HP stat with Wish Passing. Kieran can hit hard on either side. Tapu Fini is just a defensive monster, and Landorus just breaks walls down and can be a sweeper. So I just don't see how many times I'm going to be bringing Ditto, but nevertheless, it is going to make coaches rethink about how they prep against me. Am I going to bring Setup because he has a Ditto? Is he really going to bring a Ditto against me? It's one of those questions that every coach has to reevaluate before team prepping, in its entirety at least. So, a lot of picks went through. I believe we are getting to like pick 50 something, 56, 57, and I told myself, I don't have a Mega yet. And Megas were starting to fly. Half of the coaches already got Megas, but there were still some powerful Megas on the board, so I told myself, I really want a Mega that is just gonna put in the finest of work. So I went with none other than Mega Pinsir. And Mega Pinsir does 2 things incredibly well. It gets in if there's no hazards, and it just clicks Swords Dance, Quick Attack, and it most likely is going to sweep through a team. Aerolate boosted Quick Attacks are no joke. There are very few Pokemon in the game that really want to take an Aerolate boosted Return or Quick Attack after a +2 Swords Dance. And it gets things like Superpower, it gets things like X-Scissor, it gets Earthquake, it gets Close Combat. I think I just said Close Combat, but you get the idea. Knock Off. It's one of those Pokemon with a base 155 attack stat. It's going to be an offensive threat, and I figured at this point Kieran and Landorus are probably going to hit from the special side most weeks anyway, so I might as well just grab one of the best wall breakers in the game. And now, looking at my team, I already have, you know, 6 Pokemon that I feel comfortable bringing nearly every week, and they're just like, how are you going to stop Landorus Pinsir? I mean, how? I don't know. Obviously, it is breakable, as they have some common weaknesses to ice and things, and you know, I kind of let loose on the points here. As you can see, Mega Pinsir is 21 points. An average Mega in the league is about 20 points, so don't think of it as a huge hit to my point total, but I gotta really step back as to how I'm spending them. So, next pick, we have none other than Serena. So, I told myself, I grabbed Pinsir, I'm on the wheel, I need a Rapid Spinner, and honestly, Donphan was still on the board, but I didn't want another ice weakness, or take that back, I didn't really want another ground Pokemon. I think bringing Landorus and Donphan to matches was just a bad idea, and Serena does cover the water typing weakness that Landorus does have, and it can U-turn. So, excuse me. With all of that said, I think that Serena paired with the right Pokemon can just Rapid Spin, U-turn. Queenly Majesty blocks priority moves going against Pinsir and Landorus, and you're going to want to try and outspeed those. Pinsir hits 105, Landorus hits 101. Serena has a great speed tier at like 80 something. I think just like the combination of all these Pokemon together, I'm really starting to like this team. In fact, this is probably one of my favorite drafts so far, and I just can't even speak highly. I think Serena's good, but that is 3 ice weaknesses at this point, and I just want to sort of break the 4th wall down. I already traded Serena, and I'll talk about that during the week 1 recap of the CPL. So look forward to that. There was a big trade between me and another coach. This wasn't even a free agency trade, so I'm pretty excited. Serena, good Pokemon, can hit. Like I said, it's even defensive too. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully the other coach will be able to use it very well. Now, my next Pokemon is the Pokemon that killed me. Now, I picked up Zeraora. It was the 7th round? Yeah, it was the 7th round, and I told myself, I don't have a fast electric type, and Serena is one of those Pokemon, or I'm sorry, not Serena, Zeraora hits 143 base speed stat. And to top it all off, it hits like 105 and 115 attack and special attack, so that means I'm going to be hitting some mean hits. The Plasma Fist ability is, or I'm sorry, not the Plasma Fist ability, but the Volt Absorb ability, being able to take electric type hits along with Landorus makes it so that I don't really have electric weaknesses. I know Pinsir is one now, but like at that point in Top Infinity, it just really complements the team well. And that speed stat too, it's going to outpace a lot of Choice Scarfers that want to run Choice Scarf. You're going to really have to invest in some speed with some Pokemon at least above base 100 and a Scarf to like try and outpace me. And it does 3 things well. It fake outs, it pivots with Volt Switch, and it knockoffs, and it just does like shenanigan things. It's 15 points for a reason. It's susceptibly bulky too. It has an 88 HP stat with like 75 and 80 in its defenses. But you know, with knockoff pressure, it gets flying coverage too, which is pretty cool. It gets a lot of fighting coverage. I believe it gets close combat as well. So I have a lot of fighting on my team, and I don't know really what that does, but it does something, right? And fast. Oh, that's another thing I picked it up too. Taunt, 143 speed. Sorry, I can't talk right now, but that paired with Taunt, how are you going to stop this Pokemon? Really, just think about that. How are you going to stop this Pokemon? I mean, it's going to get in, it's going to be faster than everything, it's going to taunt everything, and the thing that I wanted to hone on earlier was Plasma Fist. Now, Plasma Fist, if you don't really know what it does, as a lot of people don't, it's a base 100 physical electric type move. 100% accuracy, 24 PP, so you can just spam it over and over and over again. And then the best part is, if I'm faster, normal moves become electric type that turn. So say someone wants to run, oh god, I don't know, let's say they're like just a hard-hitting normal type, something like I'm trying to think of the Pokemon, has the big round ears, X-Bob. Loudred was the round ears, but you get the idea. So if it's like a boom bursting X-Cloud, Zeraora comes in, I Plasma Fist, it tries to go for boom burst because it's locked into it, and I just gain health back because of the Volt Absorb. It's a, oh man, talk about some plays. You have to really think about it, but I don't know, I think it's going to work out. So after I grabbed Zeraora, I told myself I need, actually, I had a lot of picks after that, so, and because of this, if you total up all my points, I can only spend in the upwards of 13 points left for 3 Pokemon. So I'm going to be grabbing some really, really low tier 5s, but I think they work out with the team. I don't know. We'll see. And I also need to grab my Z Crystal that's still left, which I'm surprised that it lasted this long. So I have to wait another 24 picks, and then my Z Crystal comes, and I told myself Flyinium Z is here in round 8, and I have to grab it. If you look at my team at this point, literally Landorus, Kyurem, well, not really Pinsir, Serena and Zeraora can all use it with either Z Bounce, Z Fly. Zeraora gets like things like acrobatics and stuff. Kyurem gets Bounce, Serena gets Bounce. Like, that's a lot of Pokemon that can really, like, let's say a Grass type wants to come in and check Serena. Well, guess what? I just Z Bounce and that Grass type is gone. I have a 120 base attack stat. Nothing's gonna be living that. Again, I did trade it, spoilers, but Zeraora can really abuse it because Zeraora is so quick. It really doesn't need an item outside Life Orb and stuff. It has 100 on each side, so it can kind of already hit hard. I don't know. we'll see if we pair with that. But the real main reason why I got it was Z, Landorus, Fly, and I'm looking into free agency as of now, and there's a Pokemon. I'm not going to spoil it, but they have Mirror Move. And Z Mirror Move, I'm just saying, that's deadly. That's very deadly. So, enough about Flying Name Z. Let's talk about my first of my 3 tier 5 picks I had to grab. So, the first one I saw was Wobbuffet. I got a lot of flack for getting Wobbuffet. Now, I just want to reiterate, Shadow Tag is not banned, so I can trap with Wobbuffet, and that's the only reason why I got it. I told myself, if I don't bring Ditto, if I think there's something that's going to really set up or really give my team a hindrance on, I'll bring Wobbuffet. And it has 5 moves it can use, right? Counter, Destiny Bond, Encore, Mirror Coat, and Safeguard. I think that might be 6, but you get the idea. With those 5 or 6 moves, it's just going to trap a Pokemon and make sure that it can kill it. It has a base 190 HP stat too, so I can pass Decent Wishes with Chansey off to it and like preserve its longevity. And it could take a few hits, especially if I run like a Colbur Berry, or I don't know what the Ghost Reduction Berry is, but you know, you get the similar effects of Bug Reduction Berry to live a hit and counter, what have you. It's one of those Pokemon that I don't think it's going to come that often, but when it does, coach is going to sit there and they're going to have to say, there's a Wobbuffet, how do I play against this thing? And to knock it all off, it does the same thing as Ditto, is it stops teams and team prep. You know, people might have to be forced to run Shed Shell just because of it, or make sure that they pack like U-Turn on a Pokemon that wouldn't normally use U-Turn and waste the move slot. So it's one of those things where, is it going to be brought? No, but people still have to prep for it, which I think is a valuable asset. And speaking of valuable assets, my second, so I have to wait again for the wheel, and then one of the Pokemon that I've used in several leagues, and I just know how to use it. I know it shares some common weaknesses with Wobbuffet. I picked up Dusknoir. Now, Dusknoir was another one of those Pokemon, 4 points. I told myself it was a steal. It has 135 defenses in both stats. It has a low HP stat, but that's good, because its recovery is Pain Split. Now, people might say that's not a reliable recovery, but if I'm not HP invested, I pretty much get, you know, nearly 60 to 75% on a Pain Split if it's a full Pokemon, no matter what it is, as long as it's like above base 75 HP, which a lot of Pokemon are in the league. And I thought that was very crucial, along with its hidden ability, which is Frisk. And now Frisk lets me see the item on the opponent, so if I'm a Dusknoir lead, I get to see the item. Most likely ensures that I know what kind of set it's running. You know, I can really plan for it in game at that point, and it's just one of those Pokemon where it's utility, right? It has Will-O-Wisp, it has Trick Room, which at this point in time, I told myself that I stacked my speed tiers for a reason. Serena, even like a slow Kyurem, Chansey, and Tapu Fini all can really abuse Trick Room. And I mean, even Landorus to an extent. I'm not really going to try and run Trick Room Landorus. I'm not that person, but it just makes sure that I have options, you know, with Wobbuffet too. If I'm faster with a Wobbuffet, that's going to be an issue for most coaches. So, Destiny Bond, Disable, Pursuit, Shadow Punch, Shadow Sneak. It's another taunt user. I think that's 3 taunt users on my team at this point. I'm just feeling really, really good about my draft. And so, last but not least, I kind of panicked because I still needed a tier 5, and it was rounding out the draft. This is the last pick of the draft, and I told myself I need more support because these Pokemon aren't going to be brought that often, right? So I just need them to fill little gaps. And I saw Leavanny sitting there, so I said, why not, right? Now, the reason why I like shuddered after I picked it up is the second grass type. I have Landorus, which is weak to ice, Pinsir, which is weak to ice, Serena, and now Leavanny, and I'm telling myself, that's not maybe wasn't the best pick. And to top it all off, it's 4 times weak to fire and flying, which is a double-edged sword, right? So it has a lot of common weaknesses that is typically brought in Draft League, but at the end of the day, it also forces opponents to say, hey, what hidden power am I going to run? If he brings Leavanny, I might have to run hidden power fire versus Landorus, who I need the hidden power ice for. So it's one of those things too where you have to look at the team and say, okay, what's best. It really spreads out those hidden powers, and to top it all off, it has sticky webs. It has knockoff too, and it has baton pass, so I can agility baton pass. I've seen Levanny sets with the sticky web, agility baton pass, and like one physical move in like leaf blade. Is that the grass move it gets? Yeah, leaf blade. It also gets seed bomb too, but leaf blade is obviously the better choice. And you know, you run a focus sash, and there you go. You have a speed passing Levanny, and you can set up sticky webs too if a coach blubs up. I don't know. Interesting things. Overall, looking at my team, I told myself that I needed to spread my ice weaknesses out a little bit, and I didn't do that effectively. So that's why ultimately I got rid of Serena, and you'll see, you know, in this CPL weekly recap of, you know, week 1, you'll see how that clearly affects my decision in getting rid of it. And I think we made out on the trade. I don't know. But let me know. I have the question posted down below. Let me know who you think will take the MVP for the team. We have a lot of big threats. We have Landorus, we have Tapu Fini, Chansey, Kiram, Pinsir, and Zeraora. And they can all do nasty things. They're not all going to be kill leaders. I want to say MVP. It's a very specific thing, because Chansey might be the MVP at the end of it all. Get some counter kills, it wishes up for the rest of the team, and it just takes all the hits that the team doesn't want to. Like that's an MVP role right there. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to, you know, give a like on it, of course, and just to spread it around and share it. I know this is a very small channel on YouTube, so literally just tweeting out the video or any little support, sharing it to your friends if you think that they might like competitive Pokemon, like that goes a long way. Literally, and anyone that, you know, follows the channel, as I do try to post Pokemon content as much as possible, it's going to greatly benefit. You have no idea. So seriously, thank you, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I think with all that said, I'll catch you in the next one.